Enterprises. I welcome you all for Q4 and full FY
This call is now being recorded.
results con calls. I hope that you and your family are keeping well and taking adequate care. On this call from management side, I have Mr. Akhil Jindal with me. As we continue to sail through these unprecedented times, we at Welspun are extremely cautious and are following higher standards of hygiene and safety. In order to create awareness and protect our employees, we have put in additional efforts and have implemented these across all our locations. I'm thankful to all our colleagues for rising to this challenge and ensuring business continuity. I am confident that these times will bring out new learnings and would shape us to emerge stronger and more resilient as an organization. Now, I will cover the key business highlights and later Akhil will take over for the key financial highlights. Let me first begin with quickly recapping the recent developments. Welspun Enterprises has, through the process of harmonious substitution, agreed to take over a hybrid annuity mode project, that is 6-laning of existing Kozhikode bypass road of NH66. This is in the state of Kerala, and the existing concessionaire is Calicut Expressway Private Limited. The proposal of harmonious substitution has been submitted by the existing concessionaire to the lender, and lender in turn have recommended the same to NHAI. As you all know, the proposed takeover is subject to the NHAI approval. To recap the details of the project, this project, as originally bid for a 28.4 kilometer length, is approximately of 1,700 crores. The current estimated bid project cost due to price index escalation stands at about 1,900 crores, and the first year operation and maintenance is rupees 6.3 crores. Our proposal is to take over this project in a wholly owned subsidiary of the company. Coming to the other development of Varanasi Aurangabad NH2 project, for which the company has entered into agreement with the concessionaire to execute the procurement and construction works. The discussions between the concessionaire and NHAI are in final stages for the de-scoping proposal and terms thereof. You will recall that this project is supposed to have a de-scoping to a certain extent for the land which is not available by NHAI. However, our current proposal is only for 136 kilometers of the road, for which ROW is completely available, out of the 192 kilometers which is in total length for the project. The contract value for this 136 kilometers of the road stands at 2,366 crores, which is inclusive of GST. We expect the project construction to start somewhere in August 21 and is likely to be completed in 24 months. Further to the disclosure that we made in the Q3 FY21 earnings calls, I would want to brief about the water segment, which is a joint venture between Welspun Enterprises and Kaveri Infra Projects, the project that we had won in UP. The joint venture shares standing at 74% for Welspun Enterprises and 24% for Kaveri. The contracts have been entered into between the joint venture and the authority, which is the State Water and Sanitation Mission Department. And the expected value for EPC phase is 2,544 crores, taken as 1 crore rupee per village for the villages allotted to us. This excludes the O&M phase, which is for 10 years for this project, this estimate of our EPC contract, which is over and above this. The project's final value can only be determined once the detailed project report for these villages are submitted to the authority and they are approved by the State Water and Sanitation Mission. So the DPRs are supposed to be completed and the project in totality to be completed within 21 months from the award to 28 months from the award. And thereafter, the maintenance period will begin for 10 years. Updating you on the recent announcements from the joint venture Adani Welspun, wherein Adani owns the 65% shares and the Welspun shares is 35%. The block B9, which is in the area of Tapti Daman sector of Mumbai offshore. Just to recall, this project was a discovered small field. It was won by the entity in the discovered small field round 1. In this block, ONGC had drilled 3 wells and declared it as a find. Out of these 3 wells, 2 produced approximately 10 million cubic feet gas per day during the testing. I would also want to say that this block is strategically located to the major block that we have, which we call Mumbai block or MBOSN 2005/2, for which the commercial viability has already been, potential commercial viability has already been declared by the company. In this B9 block, we have done the coring of the gas zone bearing portion, and this is being subjected to various advanced stage studies to ascertain the potential reservoir of the field. The current estimate for this particular block, that is gas initially in place or GIIP as we say, is expected to be about 85 billion cubic feet. With these 2 adjoining blocks giving a GIIP of approximately 600 billion cubic feet, we plan to do a field development in a synergistic manner, which should improve the commercial viability of both the blocks. I would want to now talk about the order book as on 31st March 2021. Our current completed or under construction HAM portfolio stands at 7 projects worth approximately 10,000 crores, out of which 3 worth 3,400 crores have achieved COD/PCOD, and others are in advanced stage of implementation. Additionally, we have one BOOT project of 2,122 crores. The same is also in advanced stage of implementation. taking the total portfolio of PPP road projects to about 12,000 crores as on 31st March 21. In addition to the HAM and BOOT portfolio of road, we have one project on procurement and construction basis worth the contract value of 2,366 crores, including GST. As on 31st March 2021, the EPC order book stands at 8,437 crores, which includes 5,983 crores of road and 2,544 crores in water segment. This order book excludes the Kerala project, which we have proposed to take over as through the route of harmonious substitution, as the agreements are still not in place. This order book gives us the visibility of revenue for the next 2 to 3 years. Now I would want to cover the specific road and water projects. Delhi-Meerut Expressway Package 1. The project has received its 5th annuity in January 2021 within the stipulated time. We have refinanced the project with a top-up loan of 65 crores and the present effective rate of debt is 7.82% per annum. The other project, Chutmalpur, Ganeshpur and Roorkee-Chutmalpur Gagalheri, which we call CGRG. This project received the PCOD on 5th of August 2020 and the first annuity has been received. This project also has been refinanced at a very fine rate of 7.75% per annum with a top-up loan of rupees 58 crores. Coming to the third completed project, Gagalheri Saharanpur Yamunanagar or GSY project. This project received its PCOD on 31st October 2020 and has received its first annuity on a timely manner. The project is also refinanced at the rate of 7.75% per annum with a top-up loan of 63 crores. Coming to the under construction projects, the package AM2 or Maharashtra Amravati project from PWD. The physical progress for this project is about 79% at the end of Q4 FY21. Payment from Maharashtra PWD has been received for the third milestone in complete. We have also billed for the fourth milestone of the project. However, part payment thereagainst has been received from the client. Coming to the Chikli-Tarsor Road project, or CTHPL as we say. The project is right now 83% complete at the end of Q4 FY21 and the payment for fourth milestone has been received from the client, that is NHAI. The third road project under construction is the Anta Simaria Road Project or ASRP. The physical progress for this project is about 26% at the end of Q4 FY21 and we have received all payments in a progressive manner under Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme on a monthly basis. The last project, HAM project under construction, Satanathapuram Nagapattinam or SNRP as we call it. The project received an appointed date on 5th of October 2020. As you would recall that the project the authority changed the construction or the configuration of the project. It was changed from a 4-lane road and a 4-lane structure from the existing or the proposed or the earlier bidded 4-lane road and 6-lane structure. We anticipated last time that the negative change order could be in the range of about 100 crores plus. However, happy to inform that the negative change order for this change in configuration, as has been estimated and recommended by I, is 29 crores. Thus, the bid project cost, which was 2,004.5 crores, is now approximately 1,976 crores at the base value. For this project, the first installment of mobilization advance has been received, and the second mobilization advance payment is under progress. Coming to the only BOOT project, that is Mukarba Chowk Panipat Road Project, or MCRP as we call it. The project is physically complete by 71% by the end of Q4 FY21. Talking about water infra, I would first want to cover the Devas water project. The project started its commercial operations at the end of April 2019 in FY21. The revenue stands at about 10.3 crores with EBITDA of rupees 5.3 crores. In this project, both revenue and EBITDA have taken adverse impact due to extremely low takeoff by industrial clients, which are facing lockdown or are stressed due to inactivity due to pandemic. Coming to the outlook in the road project seems to be healthy. The HAM projects of NHAI are about 27 to be bidded at this point in time, with an approximate value of 31,000 crores. We will continue to selectively bid for these projects while preserving our threshold return expectations. Apart from NHAI, Welspun Enterprises is also evaluating road HAM projects of state and municipal agencies, provided those are healthy states or municipal corporations. We are also selectively bidding for EPC and BOOT toll projects. And when I say selectively, it has to meet our return threshold requirements and should be value accretive for the business line that we have. On the water segment, the Jal Shakti Ministry's Har Ghar Jal Nal Se Jal scheme of providing drinking water access to all by 2024 is expected to result in an opportunity of 60,000 crores over the next 4 years. As a company, we will continue to actively focus these projects. Company is also looking at adjacency in railways to diversify its offerings. We will continue to explore inorganic growth opportunities through a measured risk-return parameters evaluation. As a company, Welspun Enterprises is well positioned for early financial closures of new projects won, given its healthy balance sheet and cash position. The company will continue to pursue the asset-light model while focusing on operational excellence and prudent risk management. With this, I would hand over the call to Mr. Akhil Jindal for financial highlights. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sandeep. This was a very elaborate commentary on each and every point. So good morning, everyone. Clearly, the numbers which have come through late last night, I don't know how many people got a chance to go through it. But just as a quick summary, the revenue in the last quarter, which is Q4 FY21, was around 505 crore. This was up by 24% on a QOQ basis and at 12% on a YOY basis. But clearly, as Sandeep mentioned, we got severely handicapped due to various reasons. So this number could have been much better. And FY21 revenue is, of course, 1,410 crores. We expect that, going forward, all of this revenue which has been deferred to the next quarters and the next years, we will be able to make good for them. And clearly, because of the agitation, Kisan Rally and NGT ban, in the northern India, Delhi region, there has been a setback on the order book. On the order execution. Also, we have been, developing a healthy order book position, which would mean that a lot of visibility on the future revenues are something that we can proudly say are now available to the company. And in that sense, going forward, the revenue numbers would be expected to be far more better. The operating EBITDA in the quarter 4 was 70 crores, which is marginally up on a YOY basis, 15%. But good thing is that we had been moving around our guided number of 12 to 13% on the EBITDA side. And this quarter we had done a little better at 13.9. But again, 12 to 13% EBITDA is something that we have been focused on. So it is a profitable growth that the company is promising and trying to deliver. And in that sense, though there has been a setback on a execution front, but clearly the EBITDA was not compromised, and this will be the trend continuing forward. PAT is 43 crores for the cash PAT is 43 crores for the Q4 and 130 crores for the entire year. Now, of course, all of this cash gets redeployed in the business. So this is one number that we very, very carefully track. And as I mentioned, as the revenue line becomes higher and higher, the cash PAT will also become higher and higher going forward. I just want to take a pause and tell you a little bit about the investment and what we have done on the balance sheet side. So till 31st March 2021, the company has invested substantial amount of money in our businesses. So almost 2,000 crore, 1940 to be precise, is something that we invested into the businesses. The breakup is 1,000 crore, 1,030 crore in HAM projects, 444 crore in the BOOT assets, 93 crore in the water BOOT project, 320 crores in the oil and gas sector, and 54 crore in other assets. What it means is that these are all investments into the future, and all of these roads projects, as Sandeep mentioned, are either getting complete or about to get complete. So these are something which has been very, very productive assets. And of course, the silver lining had been the oil and gas sector, where up till now we had not been able to give clear guidance. But now with the recent discoveries and the technical reports that are available with us, we feel very confident about this investment that we have made. So a significant amount of the company is invested, as you would see, almost 2,000 odd crore. That also means that our future investment requirement based on the current order book, based on the current project, is also significantly down. So our existing projects need only 220 crores for the HAM and the BOT and 40 crores for the oil and gas. So total of around 260 crore is what we further need to invest. And against that, our cash balance at 31st March stood at 375 crores. So one possibility of some liquidity events into some of these assets that we are holding. Number two, the profit generations in this coming year, and of course, a better efficiency and better collection at the client end. All of this would mean that there is no challenge as far as the cash flows are concerned. So going forward, we would believe that the company will remain substantially substantially invested into these assets, and as we liquidate some of them, we will also be looking at new avenues. At the same time, the financial position of the company is quite I would say well established. On the books is hardly anything. If I count the total debt, that is 602 crore, which is 500 odd crore in the long term. Actually, 475 is a precise number, and the balance is interest accrued, as on 31st March. And short-term debt of 97, which is more of a working capital. So clearly, the against a net worth of close to 1900 crore, 1819 to be precise, the debt of 500 odd crore on a long-term basis is hardly, let's say, debt to equity of 0.3 times. And clearly, all of this money has been judiciously used to make further investments into these projects, and which are now almost reaching to the completion stage. Many of them are reaching to the completion stage. Some of them will be significantly covered in this financial year also. So with this, I take a pause and invite questions from anyone. And in that sense, I can only want to give an assurance that both from the rating side as well as on the fundraising side, the company has been fine in its cost of funds. 7.25 is what we have got from for our AM2 project. 7.5 roundabout for our GSY CGLG project. Naturally, some of these COD letters are still to be received. Once we get that, it will be 7.5, 7.6 level, currently being 7.75%. And as we go forward, our endeavor would be to refinance all of these projects, not just refinance, but also be able to get a much higher loan, which can further improve the liquidity of the company. So with this, we open the floor for the question answer. Anyone has any question, you please feel free to reach to the operator and they will guide you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Rohit from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Thank you for this opportunity. Sir, a very strong order backlog and a strong outlook, I suppose, is on the cards. Just to elaborate on that particular point, the Calicut Express, the HAM project that you have under negotiation, what is the timeline you expect this particular project to be a part of your order backlog? Also, my second question will be, given the current scenario, the backlog that we have, in fact, if you add that Calicut orders, we could be staring at an order backlog of 10,000 crore. And if the execution period of 3 years is also being considered, which is a stretch by all means, we should be staring at a revenue run rate of 3,300 crore kind of number. Is it something that is company thinking on these lines? Could you just elaborate on these lines?
So, taking the first question, thanks, Rohit. So Kerala project, the expected finalization should take place in next 60 odd days. So that is what our expectation is at this point in time. And we would want to start the work post monsoon, so that synergizes practically with the timelines as well. Coming to your question of the order backlog, thanks, that it is a healthy order backlog, and we expect it to be liquidated in 3 years. However, your estimate may be right, but I would want to avoid giving any guidance at this point in time because of the uncertain situations of pandemic, which can upset any forecast. Given that if the situation does not get worse and the pandemic situation improves, and the we do not run into the challenges that recently and we have run into, I think we should be able to target the numbers close to liquidating this order backlog in about 3 years.
Sure. Thank you. Now, just to follow up on the earlier part, what is the labor availability and other execution level of efficiency that you see on the ground as of now?
So it is slightly improved, but it is still not at the level that it was prior to the pandemic. There is still a challenge, and there is a productivity challenge as well, because the COVID appropriate behavior does put some pressure on the productivity as well. People are learning to live with this challenge, and this is, I think, over a few months or some period, this will become a normal way of working, and we should be able to see the productivity rise. The other issue is that obviously in a team, if few people fall sick, the team itself becomes unproductive to a large extent. So those challenges continue. However, I think the situation is that by and large, people have accepted that this is the way to work, and hence are coming back to work.
I understand. I appreciate the point. But if you have to quantify a number in terms of, say, 80% we are back to pre-COVID levels, or 70% we are some number, is there any number that you want to guide about?
It's also a geographically spread issue, but at a macro level, at a company level, we would say about 75 to 80% of the workforce becomes available. We still are struggling to get the balance back to work.
Great, sir, great. Sir, then I have one more question. It's more to do with your strategic composition of your order backlog. We have done exceptionally well. We have walked the talk about tilting our order backlog exposure to EPC. In fact, as I see right now, 30% you have water exposure of EPC, and you have 25% coming from road EPC. So 55% of the order backlog is EPC. Is this EPC exposure going to be, external EPC exposure I meant, going to be the major driver ahead? Is there a number that you can quantify in how the order backlog composition would be for external EPC projects?
So, Rohit, so we would definitely want a healthy combination of various offerings that we make. As you know, these are large orders that are booked, so any guidance on that it is the target mix is a difficult thing to do. However, I would want to be at least a business which is stable at least on three models to offer, or three offerings to make into the market, so that it becomes a stable situation. It does not change with the vagaries of the competitive intensity as well as the change in the government procurement processes. So this is my intent. So if you see, I'm also targeting the private players to make sure that to a certain extent the projects or my reliability of revenue is just not dependent upon the government procurement processes.
And I think just to add, clearly in the last 5 years of the operations of the company effectively, the company has developed few skill sets which can be replicated in other businesses also. So when we started this whole business, we were focused on HAM, road assets, and slowly we moved to water. Now we are also had been invested in oil and gas, and the same model can be replicated in some other areas. Now, of course, we are playing a much larger role in the water with the UP villages and other things. So the model is same basically. So wherever it's profitable and the same skill sets can be used and the developer's role can be played along with the EPC, is something we would like to balance it out.
Sure, sir. Finally, sir, my last question. We were targeting close to 6 projects or HAM projects which will achieve PCOD, and we will get them into a monetization phase. That was the target in FY21. I understand FY21 was a challenging year. We have achieved the 3 projects. We have PCOD and 2 projects in PCOD, and 1 is already operational. Maybe are we targeting another 3 more, I think, projects, and maybe modernization drive, can we kickstart that process this year, FY22? Do you see such possibility?
So, this question has two parts. So let me talk about the first part of it, that when do we expect the PCODs for the balance project? So we expect in the next quarter, within the next quarter, the Chikli-Tasor, Amravati, AM2, and the Mukarba Chowk Panipat Road projects to achieve the PCOD. So the expectation is within next 30 to 90 days, these projects will achieve the PCOD. So the bouquet of offering will become substantive for us to approach the market.
Yeah, also I think there is a process to this. I mean, this is not something which is, can be done overnight. We have seen the projects, achieving PCOD. Then the revenue line gets established on the PCOD date. The further assurance comes in the mind of people, both the lender as well as investor, when the annuity gets received, and the balance, whatever are the punch list gets complete. So I would say we would be ready in not before 6 months' time to be able to offer the entire completed project portfolio, as Sandeep mentioned. The aim is to get liquidity in this financial year, but clearly we want to do many things before we start offering. For example, the refinancing. It's something that we believe that we are able to do it at a very fine effective rate, which ultimately benefits the incoming investor. Second is completion of the project completely and establishing the track record of annuities and other things. So these are the few things that we will continue to do so. And once all those 3-4 checkboxes which are important for the investor and important for us gets ticked, then it's the time for the effective monetization.
Sure, sir. That's it from my side. I thank you for those detailed explanation. I look forward to the questions. I will get back in the queue.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ritesh Gandhi from Discovery Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Given the interest rate.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Gandhi. Sir, your voice is not audible, sir.
Sure. You can hear me now?
Can you can you come on the phone directly? Seems to be using the speaker.
Sure. Is this clearer now?
Much better. Thank you.
Okay. So just to understand, as we look at your portfolio of oil and gas, how should we think about potential NPV of that business, valuation of that business, and how should we be looking at that?
So, Ritesh, the only thing that we can talk about right now is what the resources are in the block, so which is about 600 billion cubic feet. And I can give an idea of what the reserves in terms of revenue means. However, what it will take to develop this field, what the IRRs will be, what the NPVs will be determined by the field development plan that will get developed over the next 6 to 8 months. So to give you an idea, and this is something which is just to give an idea rather than anything else, at a gas price level of about $7 per MMBtu and a condensate price of about $55 per barrel, this resource, what we can produce, approximately values at around $4 billion. So that is what
that's the revenue potential.
That's the revenue potential that we are talking about. As the field development plans for these get firmed up and the actual commercials can be worked out, we will revert back to you all with what we see in this sector. Ritesh, did I answer your question?
I think his line got disconnected. Operator, you can move on to the next question.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nirav Shah from GC Holdings. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, sir, and thanks for the opportunity. I have a few questions. Sir, firstly, if you can, in the UP Water project, we own 74%, while we have accounted for 100% of the orders. So what is the nature of our agreement with our partner Kaveri Infra Projects for this particular project?
So to answer your question, Nirav, it is the construction per se is 100% belonging to the Welspun Enterprises. So 100% construction EPC work is to be done by the Welspun Enterprises. The partner in the business is looking at building up the books for themselves.
So is there any share in terms of any amount that we have to pay them annually or some part of revenue or profit to our partner?
Nothing significant.
Nothing significant. Okay. So second question is from media reports, we were L1 in one of the Mumbai STP projects. So what is the status of that? Any update that you can share?
So MCGM projects are, because of the COVID, everything into kind of slow movement. However, I think the movement has begun now, so the authority has started interacting on those projects. And I think the clarity shall emerge in next 60 odd days as to what is likely to happen on those bids that are already in.
Okay. And Akhil sir, if you can just repeat the breakup of our investments of 1940 crores that you just mentioned. Can you just please repeat the numbers?
Yes, Nirav, I will do that. So total of 1940, let me just, it's here. So the HAM project comprised of 1030, it's a HAM road project. The BOT road project is 444, 444. Water BOT 93, ONG 320, and 54 in other assets. So this is a breakup of 1940 that we have invested as of 31st March.
Okay. And coming on the oil and gas front, our pending equity is just about 40 crores. So can we expect any revenue contribution to start in, say, second half or fourth quarter? Is it possible to see something in this particular year?
No, Nirav, not a possibility. This year we will only develop the field development plan and get it approved by DGH.
So next year should start any sales?
No, we will see once the field development plan is approved, somebody will have to execute that field development plan, which takes about 2 years, and then the revenue starts.
Got it. And against the book investment of 320 crores in oil and gas, what is the actual investment that we have done?
Somewhere around 500 crores plus is the actual investment in terms of cash input.
Yeah, we have taken some write-off in the previous years. So you're right, this is a net off figure. So total being 500 crore as a company, plus minus a few crores here and there, is what we have done.
Got it. Great, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Prem Khurana from Anand Rathi. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you for taking my question, sir. So two questions. So one was on the liquidity event that you spoke about in your opening remarks. So basically, two questions here. One was, given the fact that when I look at the portfolio, we already have three operational assets, and Chikli Tar Road would attain PCOD very shortly, even AM would be able to get the COD in place soon. So from PCOD standpoint, I mean, we would have everything in place, but then basically on returns, the bank rate plus 300 basis point, and even after the refinancing numbers that we spoke about, 7.5%, there still seems to be some kind of gap. So the idea would be to kind of wait for this disconnect to kind of correct and then approach the market, or we don't mind compromising a little in terms of valuation, but go ahead with the transaction because the idea is to kind of churn cash flows and look for more growth opportunities. If you could share your thoughts on this, please.
Let me try and give that answer, though it's not a straight answer. So clearly, all of this exit will happen at the right value. Let me make that as a first statement. There's no pressure of any kind because we are well funded in the company, and to that extent, the debt equity ratios are well under control. Net debt to EBITDA is very, very healthy. So there's no, I would say, liquidity issue because of which we have to exit these assets at any distressed value. You are right. The interest rate regime during COVID has been unfavorable to us, where the interest rates reduced by the RBI, which is bank rate, which is a revenue line for us, has been around 120 basis, while the reduction in the cost of raising had been around 70 basis. So there has been a difference of 50 basis roughly, which has got created as a negative carry in our books, which used to be positive earlier. However, given that so, this is not the, we will not like to just wait on this basis. Clearly the cycle will correct itself. This is an anomaly due to external factors, and we believe that this will get corrected pretty soon. As I mentioned, we are waiting for the assets to be ready. Once these assets are ready, more in the second half of the year, where 5 or 6 assets will be COD, revenue line established, annuity collected, all the pre-work all done. That is the time when we will start aggressively in the market. So I think I tried to answer your question. So at a right valuation, we will be certainly keen to exit this asset.
Sure. And so that's to continue on this, and how do you see NHAI's decision to kind of either go for TOTs or private InvIT now is what they're talking about? I mean, do you see NHAI, I mean, if they were to come up with these kind of things on a regular basis, on a very frequent basis, I mean, could come to crowd out market? Because when you look at the buyers, especially in the private market, you get to feel, I mean, there are too fewer buyers and there are too many sellers in the market today. I mean, besides InvIT, I mean, there are a number of private players also there in the market to kind of try and offload their portfolio. So how do you see NHAI's decision to kind of go ahead with private InvIT to kind of impact monetization process in general?
I think the market is big enough for all of this to be absorbed in a right manner. See, let me tell you, all this, institutional player in this country are far and few, and to that extent, the NHAI TOTs were well received. And going forward, whenever the NHAI private InvIT comes into play, it will only widen the market, and it will attract more global players than what currently India has. So while you may say that it may compete with some of our plans, but at the same time it will attract more growth capital from the international giants who are waiting for the right assets for the right size, and it would be very conducive for the industry in a medium to long run.
Sure. And second question was on our strategy, because I think when we started in the business, I mean, we were looking at asset ownership business, wherein the idea was to kind of outsource the construction part and manage the design and the financing part, which is where you generally get to create more value for the shareholders. Gradually, I mean, we've been able to kind of size up our third-party EPC now, including this Varanasi project that you have today. Would that make you kind of go and build your own capacities in terms of construction activity? And in terms of the Varanasi project, I mean, would you be required to kind of support this project in terms of working capital cycle? Because Soma, what we hear from the market, is not doing great in terms of liquidity at this point in time.
So you have two questions. Part of these questions are two. Number one, that in terms of our business model, we are now capturing most of the value chain other than the construction. So we believe that we will have construction partners to some extent. And that is the model going forward we shall follow. We will continue to try and increase our share in the value chain in terms of engineering and procurement. The second part of the question that you raised is about the liquidity of the project that we have taken over because of the challenges Soma per se is looking at. So as we understand this, the project currently has enough money in escrow because of the past collections and get assured that they don't need to put in any equity from Soma or any other player of any substance. So we would not have taken this project had it not been that it is already liquid to the extent that the contract has been entered into.
Sure. Okay. And just one last from my end, I mean, if you could share your thoughts on the margin profile that you envisage for the water supply projects, please. I mean, would these be comparable to the numbers that we've seen in the past, or because there's this bought out component as well in these projects?
So to answer the question, we are extremely aware and we are very mindful of the bottom line when we talk about top line. Our return expectations of water are equal or slightly higher than road, and they are not lower than the road, I can assure you. So we do not expect the margins to go southward. We expect the water to contribute for the margins to go northward.
Sure. Thank you. That's it from mine. Thanks a lot for answering my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Meet Vora from DM Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. My question was regarding the stress asset segment. So now, basically in these segment, we are acquiring 3 projects from lenders. So does it mean that the return expectations are better in this segment? And the follow-up question on this is that the order book of 84 billion, does this new HAM project is also considered in this calculation?
So to answer the second part, we have not accounted for the new HAM projects in the order book until those agreements are in place. We will not be accounting for it. Now coming to the return expectations, we get opportunities to look at secondary acquisition almost every month. A few of them come through to us, and we only look at the projects which meet our return threshold expectation. So we pick almost 1 out of 20-25 opportunities that we look at.
Also, when you use the word stressed, I want to just clarify that none of the projects that we have taken tantamount to any haircut by any lender. If at all, by us coming into the picture, the viability of the project has only improved with a better equity commitment and a more timely execution. So we are not looking at stress in that technical word. For us, the projects are early stages where the project has not probably started the work, or maybe some small work has been done, and we come up for the large part, which is as if we are bidding for this project ourselves. So it is a choice between a buy versus bid model, and in that sense, as Sandeep has rightly said, whatever fits into our internal criteria are important for us. I mean, otherwise, taking these projects are so easy. We could have promised you 3 times the book than that what we are currently telling you, but that would mean that we would have compromised on our return expectations.
Sure, sir. Understood. So we can term that as harmonized substitution, basically.
Precisely. These are favorable trusts, and nothing acrimonious about it. NHAI is, NHAI is supporting it. The lenders are not, against that. They are not aggravated. They are not having any haircut. So it's all, in a good spirit.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir. And I had one more question from my side regarding. So I just wanted to know the order inflow guidance for FY22, and specifically I also wanted to know the pipeline for order inflow in water segment.
So, I think we have a very healthy order book at this point in time. We are awaiting the water segment, the large project which is yet not decided which way it is going, of about 3,500 crores EPC value. In terms of the order pipeline, there are enough orders in the market. As to how much we would want to pick will depend upon what happens to this major order that we are awaiting a decision on. We do not want to grow at a rate which we cannot sustain in our operational excellence and deliver the projects in a timely manner. So we will be very prudent in our decision making as to what to pick and what not to pick.
Sure, sir. So can we give any number on that? Either the.
So we can only say that we will want to definitely have this order which we are L1, and if that is the case, we are not going to in this year, at least the initial 6, 7, 8 months, we are not going to be targeting any major project thereafter. But at the end of the year or early next year, we would want to target a few projects. We want to space it out.
Okay. Understood, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's all from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the last question for today. I would now like to hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate your participating in this investor call. From my side, I can assure that Welspun Enterprises will continue its journey of operational excellence on an approximately 1,200 crore road portfolio. 12,000 crores, my apologies. 12,000 crores of road portfolio and additional about 2,500 crores of water portfolio. We remain focused on value unlocking through recycling of the capital. I thank you all for the questions, and if there are any further queries, you may please get in touch with the investor relationship team, who will be very happy to respond to your questions. Thank you. Good day and be safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of DAM Capital Advisors Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.